Well, hey there, and welcome to this episode of the Menopause Health Podcast. And I am so excited you are here. Today, I get to interview one of the most phenomenal women, in my opinion, on the planet. And she co-founded a wellness company that grew to it's almost $9 billion in sales. She is an award-winning entrepreneur. She is a best-selling author. And on top of it, she is a mother and grandmother, and she is here to share her wisdom on women in the workplace navigating menopause, very simple strategies that women can begin to engage in when they're in perimenopause, menopause, and beyond. What tests she does, the most cutting edge ways to really explore what's happening in your body and take action. And most of all, she shares her heart and, of course, her menopause journey. So with that, let's get started with this episode of the show with my incredible guest, the one and only Kathy Coover.
Welcome to the Menopause Health Podcast, your go-to resource for practical advice brought to you by credentialed health professionals and industry experts. Here is your host, Susan Sly.
Well, Kathy, welcome to the Menopause Health Podcast. And I'm so excited to catch up. It's like the whole world gets to hear two really good friends having a discussion about menopause and especially about how women can advocate for themselves. And you have had this incredible career as an award-winning entrepreneur leading a global company. And, so many people would say, look at her. I mean, she's graceful. She's eloquent. She always has it all together. But while you built Isogenics, you were going through menopause yourself. And I remember because we traveled together and you were the one who really taught me what I was going to get to expect. So can you share your menopause journey, Kathy?
Oh, I would love to. And thank you for inviting me, Susan. It's an honor to be on the show. And let me tell you, I started going through perimenopause when I was about 48. And we started Isogenics when I was 49. So I was getting, the night sweats and being warm and things like that, not sleeping well for a while. And then it really hit full steam ahead when I was 51. And, I, I had to really research because, who do we go to when we have issues? We go to our mom, and my mom had just passed away. So she wasn't there for me, but thank God for my sister. She really helped me through it. But, I just started reading and researching and trying to get all the answers I could about menopause and really adjusting my body to for example, not sleeping well and getting really, really warm. I mean, just wearing the right night clothes, just cotton things, a sheet over you, taking the room temperature down to 66, as you can remember when we were traveling together. And, that really did help, the night sweats, and then drinking lots and lots of water, watching what I consumed. The hot flashes were very challenging for me because, I'd be presenting at the office and all of a sudden you feel one coming on. So I always kept a fan with me, a little portable fan. It really helped because I knew it would go very, very quickly. But I really started doing a lot of research on myself personally to see other options that I had and, what I could do to make it easier to go through it. But it's all mindset too, Susan. I really, I had a strong mindset that I was going to get through this. It wasn't going to be challenging, but then it got more challenging when sex became uncomfortable. That's when I drew the line. I said, I have to find solutions. So, I became my own advocate, as you said, for my own health and did a lot of research and really was introduced to an anti-aging doctor that really made me understand what I was going through, and he was a male, and you would think you'd be a female, but he understood and he really helped me. He told me so many different things and he supported me through the journey. he recommended bioidentical hormones. And so he told me, really, he educated me on bioidentical hormones, because we've heard that, that might lead to breast cancer, which is really a fallacy. Out of all the testing and everything that's been done, only 1% of people will get breast cancer. So, that have a bigger chance of getting breast cancer. So he also explained to me that if I didn't take bioidentical hormones, that my organs would start to shrink, and, that I might get osteopenia, osteoporosis. He also told me it was hard on my heart. So I was all in on the bioidentical hormones. And it did take a while before I got adjusted to them. But it was really funny, Susan. I was feeling great. And then, like 1 week later, bam, I was in full blown menopause. And taking these Biest, which are natural, they're just like yours. They're not Premarin, it's a natural estrogen. And then they put me on testosterone, which really helped my muscle mass and my energy and my sex drive. And then he put me on progesterone. And then, of course, DHEA. So he had a whole little cocktail that he had for me. And within 6 weeks, my symptoms started going away. I started feeling better. My mental clarity, my focus, everything started coming back. And I could see my body changing, so I was so grateful for that advice. So anybody listening, really be an advocate for your own health. Talk to some doctors about bioidentical hormones. Those are the ones that you want. And they're not that expensive. They're worth every single penny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Kathy, I love what you said, because you started with the practical, right? We have health practitioners listening. We have women who are going through menopause, think they're going through menopause, or people listening who are supporting the amazing women in their life who are going through perimenopause and menopause. And there's so much to be said about the practical. You carried a fan with you. You really paid attention to what you were wearing to bed, changing the room temperature, making sure you're hydrated. And also too, you are very consistent in working out. And do you think, before we talk about, some of the other ways that women can really advocate for themselves and the other things they can do and do a deeper dive, do you think that there were things that you did that were in your everyday life, like types of workouts or a certain amount of hydration, for example, that really shifted your menopause symptoms for you? Was there something you did that you had a noticeable difference?
I would say that the big notable difference was when I started taking the bioidentical hormones. My night sweats started going away. My hot flashes diminished. That was really one of the keys. And then the other little things that I could do, so like setting the temperature down, really helped. The little simple things that, sometimes you don't think about. I know my husband complained it was too cold in the room, so I bought him some pajamas. But, he was very supportive of me going through it. And it's just part of life. We just have to women are so resilient, and we're so strong. We have great mindsets, and we always say, we'll get through this, and you will. And so I went right through it, and I feel great. And, it's amazing, but I'm still a huge advocate for my health every single day. I read, Susan, one of the books that I highly recommend that everybody read on this is Outlive by Peter Attia. And he is brilliant. He is. And he talks about medicine 2.0, and that's what we're in right now. And what we really need to, go to is medicine 3.0, where it's all prevention, but it's just it's not in our society right now. So we have to look for all these things to prevent osteoporosis, because you still can get it even if you take bioidentical hormones, because I took them and I had osteopenia. Now my bone density is increased by 25%. I have nothing, because I use supplements that I, got information that I got from Peter Attia's book. And also the other one was Superhuman by David Asprey. And I'd highly recommend that, when he talks about using bone broth, and, putting it in your coffee, and it really helps your ligaments, your tendons, your joints. And I have living proof. I have DEXA scans before and DEXA scans after, and increasing even in my hands, my neck, Everything is increased by 25%. And, so don't give up, you just need to research, but I would highly recommend that you start taking bone broth in 1 year. That's what I did.
And that's, Kathy, that's incredible. You're reading, you're researching, and as part of that, the average woman who is going through menopause is suffering. And McKinsey came out with a report on women in the workplace who are going through menopause. A significant percentage of them want to quit their jobs because they're not feeling supported. And these are women who they worked in their 20s, they worked in their 30s through their 40s, and they're now in leadership positions and they're not sleeping. They might be having hot flashes, they're having brain fog, weight gain. It feels like for many of these women, their bodies are controlling them. They're not controlling their bodies. And why do you think women, because you have mentored so many women, why do you think women put up with it and just choose to suffer and try and push through?
I just don't think they know that there are options, or they've heard some negative thing from someone that really doesn't understand. And women, like I said, are resilient. They think they can push through it. They'll get through it real quick. It's going to pass. But, it's something that we live with for the rest of our life. I mean, we do. And there are consequences. Some people cannot take bioidentical hormones, but many of you can. And I would highly, encourage you to investigate, to go to see someone that specializes, a naturopathic doctor that specializes in bioidentical hormones. You'll have to be tested, your blood, a lot of different things. But I think most women, in the workforce just think, well, it's going to pass quickly. I'll get through it. I don't want to complain. It's just, that's just the way we are. We just keep charging forward because so many women have children and they have so many other things, careers. And I mean, they just don't have time to do the research too. That's another thing.
Yeah. And there's this, when we start to think about the number of years a woman is going to spend in menopause. So there's the lead up phase, perimenopause, where the periods are inconsistent or really heavy periods, which is what happened to me for 2 weeks at a time. And then the symptoms kind of going and growing over the course of years. And then most women will spend, the statistic is approximately 7 years in menopause. 7 years. And that doesn't include what happens on the other side of that, how depleted women are, or to your point, losing their muscle mass, losing their bone density, losing their drive. And these are our prime years. And to your point, you co-found a company when you're in perimenopause. Like a lot of women, they're not thinking that way because they're struggling. And so as a leader and a business owner, what advice would you give to people who are in the corporate world? Maybe they're listening to this and they're a head of a division, or they're in corporate HR, or they're looking for ways to support their employees who are going through menopause. What tips would you give?
Well, first of all, I would suggest that you educate, have, some kind of someone come in that talks about it to the women and explains what they're going to go through. And just knowing that your company is doing that and supporting you is a huge thing. They know that you're having these challenges, and that makes you feel supported. That makes you want to engage more. Notice that they care about you, which is really important. So education, because a lot of people, like, they go home, they got kids, and some people work 2 jobs. They just don't have time to spend educating themselves. So bringing someone in to educate women and showing them the options, I think would be a huge thing to do for your employees. I mean, it would just be appreciated by so much of the employees. It's that corporate culture that's so important.
Absolutely. I love that willingness to have the conversation. And I want to give a shout out to Hewlett Packard, one of our technical partners at the Pause, because at the last HP Discover event in Las Vegas, I hosted a menopause symposium. So we had leaders who registered to come from Disney, from Harry Reid International Airport, from all of these massive companies, the feedback, Kathy, was, we thought we read the program wrong, and that and that HPE was so willing to say, no, like, yes, this is a tech conference, but let's have meaningful conversations, because now, to your point, medicine 3.0 is coming. And that is where we can be customized, we can be predictive, but the data for menopause doesn't exist. And so you can't build a predictive model, especially with AI, until you have the data set, and the data has been lacking. And so we are coming to that phase, which is really, really exciting. Now, you have taught me so much, and you constantly have the latest like tests that you've done and the resources, and I can barely keep up, honestly, and that's why I really want you to write a book, because it's incredible. So what are some of the tests that you've done that might not be, something that even practitioners know about, especially because only 2,000 practitioners are certified in menopause in the United States? So what have you done? What has been effective? Share.
Well, first, I want to go back to the corporate thing. If I was running, the company now, and I had the Pause AI, I would make that available to my women that were going through that. I would think that would be a huge plus, and who wouldn't want to support all their women?
Yeah.
So anyway, but let's go back to the testing. I got cancer when I was very, very young. So I've always been looking and searching for options, keep myself healthy. And we are so lucky to live in this day and age where there are so many phenomenal tests. I remember it was about 15 years ago, I had to have the Foundation One test. It cost $15,000. And now you can have 23andMe, the DNA test, for only $250. And it's remarkable. If you have not done that, you need to do that, number one. It shows you so many biomarkers, so many things. It shows you any bad genes you have. It shows you what to watch out for. It shows you if you have genes for diabetes, if you have genes for Alzheimer's. It has melanoma, hearing loss, celiac disease. I mean, it's getting more and more precise. It's phenomenal. Coronary artery disease, arterial fibrillation. It will tell hearing loss. It is unbelievable. And what I love about the test, okay, so let's say if you have a bad gene. I have 2 genes for diabetes. So what it tells me is that it'll say you won't get it if you do this, and not get overweight, exercise, reduce your sugar. So that's another thing, in Peter Attia's book, Outlive, he says that he believes that about half of the population will have diabetes soon, because they wait to the very end. They wait till you're 6.5 to tell you that you need trouble. They need to tell you when you're 5.7 to start, cutting back on this, to do this, to do this. So that's why this test is so phenomenal. And it tells you if you have an APO3 gene, APO4 gene for your brain, for your cholesterol. It's unbelievable. And it's so you get a dashboard, you can take a look at it, you can show it to your doctor. So that's one that I think is great. And you'll see at Christmas time, they reduce the price to like $150. So it's a great gift to give to someone. So there's that one that I love. And then there's the brand new test. I think I was the first one to get this test, and I've been watching it and researching it way before it came. And it's called the Galleria test. And you spell that GALLERI.com. So Galleria test is a brand new test. It's $1,000. Your insurance won't pay for it because we're living in medicine 2.0. But this is probably one of the best tests you get. I recommend it about age 50. It detects 50 different kinds of cancer before class 1. So, I mean, who wouldn't get that? I mean, I get it every single year now, but when I was younger, but it just came into fruition about 2 years ago. So, I get it every year. Some people would probably get it every 3 years, but I highly recommend that one. Go to your naturopathic doctor. Mine didn't even know about it. And she's really up on everything. I showed it to her and she ordered it for me, and I was the first one to get it. So that is a great, great test. And then another one that I've been doing for 20 years now is the full body MRI scan. Yeah. And this is done through Prevenium, and it's PREVENUIM. Prevenium, and it scans your entire body all the way down to your organs, and you get a virtual tour of your body. It's $1,000 test. Once again, they don't pay for it. There's no radiation. And you can see if you have an aneurysm in your brain. You can see if you have any nodules on your thyroid. You can see if you have any things growing inside of you that you just can't see. My anti-aging doctor said this was the number one test that I needed to take. When I was 50, I started at 50 and I do it every 2 years. And it's phenomenal. They can see a little tiny cyst on your liver and then they monitor you. And I've saved two women's lives. I said, go get this test. And they had uterine cancer. They didn't know it. And they had it resolved just because of that test. So we have to really, really know these new testing. There's so many other ones. Of course, the ones that are always mandatory that we all get is mammograms and colonoscopies, all those things, of course, are important. But these are some of the newer tests that are coming out. And there's a new company called Prenovum that also has a center where you can go get the full body MRI scans. They're a little bit more expensive there. I think it's like maybe $2,500 to go there. I just go to the one in Scottsdale, Arizona, because it's close to my house, and it's very simple. It's not painful, and it's the best test I have. I'm so grateful for all these new testings. I'm sure there'll be more coming out soon.
Kathy, I was making notes, and this, it's interesting because we also see that this, for women in menopause, is a very high risk time. It can be the Y in the road, right? The more research, I love my red wine. Research is showing that increased alcohol for women during menopause is dramatically going to increase the risk of breast cancer. We're seeing that the earlier a woman enters menopause, it increases her risk for dementia, and that when we look at doing the tests, and let's talk about the lifestyle changes here too in a moment, that it may sound overwhelming, but the reality is it's a lot less expensive to be preventative than it is if you are in a disease. And we know the leading cause of bankruptcy in the United States is healthcare. And then, in the Canadian side or different places, you may wait a very long time to actually be seen by a specialist. And that's a problem too, because you're not necessarily getting healthier while you're on that waiting list. So for people listening, I want to go into your daily routine, because you have this beautiful, amazing, disciplined daily routine. And I just want to clear the way to say that, I've seen her put in 16-hour days. I've seen her put in 20-hour days. The routine doesn't vary. So can you talk about your routine, Kathy? Because you absolutely look phenomenal. Suzanne Summers wrote the book Ageless. I think you should have been on the cover of that book. So can you talk about your routine?
Yes, I would love to. I mean, I'm an early riser. And as soon as I get up, I drink a liter of water just to flush out my lymphs. I put a little lemon in it and just flush it out. And then I have my coffee, because coffee is so good for your brain, your gut, your colon, a lot of different things. So I do that. And then I head to the gym. I mean, no matter what, wherever I was traveling, I always got some kind of a workout. Move your body and strength training. A lot of women just do aerobics. But you get that cardiovascular burn when you're lifting weights. So it's really, really important to use strength training, functional training, going to a gym, and you can exercise at home. Just get some dumbbells and link into some site where you can watch different videos. And then I have big protein consumption. I mean, I've read the book. There's a lot of really good books, like Peter Tia talks about it, protein consumption, but there's a lot of other really phenomenal books that have been written on. We have to have enough protein, because as we age, we need it to feed our muscles, to feed our bones. So I have at least 35 grams of protein as soon as I work out. That's about the maximum I have. And I add different things into my protein too, my bone broth and different things like that, my collagen, stuff like that. It's really important. And then, I take my vitamins. I take vitamins for my brain, lots of vitamins, NAD, things like that. And I noticed a dramatic difference when I started taking brain formulas, because we lose a lot of our 25% of our brain. It's pretty scary. So you want to feed your brain too as you start to age. It's really important. And then I eat at least 3 to 4 meals a day. I know people can't believe sometimes how much I eat, but if you look what I eat, it's really high protein consumption. I do not take any gluten anymore, unless it's a special occasion that you have to. But I think that's important, just keeping your gut healthy, and we know how important that is. And then you go about my day, and I probably take, I'm not kidding you, probably 40 vitamins a day, um, and a lot of them for the immune system, because I am immune compromised. But it's amazing. I was the only one that didn't get sick last year because I take beta glucine. I take 1,000 milligrams of beta glucine. It's the number one thing for your immune system. I take AHCC, which is another mushroom extract, plus all the ones that you know about, vitamin D, zinc, and all that. But by putting beta glucine and AHCC and in my body, I am not getting sick. And of course, I'm diligent in washing my hands and things like that. But and then I do yoga and stretching at night before I go to bed, and I lie on a biomat to relax myself. It heats my body up to a high heat, and I really think that's one of the reasons my skin stays so good, because I put it over my whole body, and that infrared is so good for you. I've been doing that for 20 years. So, I mean, there's just so many things I do, but it's important, especially when you start going through menopause. It will make a massive difference if you do some of these things.
Absolutely. And I can attest as well as seeing Kathy, and she's like in the morning out power walking, hiking, she's sending gratitude messages, doing voice text to her son, her daughter-in-law, her grandchildren, her friends, her family, and just living that life. And the emphasis here too is that you may be listening and going, oh my gosh, that really sounds like a lot. Start with one thing. Move your body. Like Kathy said, move your body 30 minutes a day. Just start with that. Challenge yourself to do 30 minutes a day for 30 days and mix it up. Cardio one day, resistance training the other. Like I love the Peloton app. Kathy knows I love the Peloton a lot. But I also use their strength training. I use their yoga in the app, and you don't have to have the bike. You just travel, with your iPad, and you can do the workout, the meditation, all of it. So I love to do that. Just if I'm on the go, it's a great one to do. And the other thing I'll say, like to Kathy's point, like your sleep hygiene is really important. And in menopause, our sleep suffers. And if you're not yet, or you can't take bioidentical hormones, then there are all sorts of things you can do for your sleep hygiene. Like don't look at your screens an hour before bed. To be able to, like Kathy said, she's stretching. That really helps. For me, I like to take a cold shower sometimes before bed, just to cool my body down to get ready for bed. I roll on a foam roller. It isn't pleasant, but I do it. I have a cervical thing my chiropractor gave me that I can self-traction, and I'll just lie there and self-traction and all of those things, and figuring out, even journaling before bed, what you can do to get yourself into that state that you are ready for sleep. So Kathy, my final question for you is, as we're working on AI technology, and you have been studying AI, and it's all of your worlds colliding, from business and wellness and health, and now AI. What are some things that excite you about AI as it relates to health and all of the possibilities?
Well, that is the most exciting part about AI for me personally, is all the health benefits. I mean, a lot of times we have scans, and the doctors have to look at maybe 100 to 150 scans a day, and human error happens. And, we're all human. But if they look at it and then they run it through AI, many times they see things that the doctor didn't see, because especially with the heart, they can see behind. And that breakthrough is massive. And I truly believe we are on the brink of so many things. I can't even imagine what's going to happen in the next 5 years. with AI. It's a very, very exciting new frontier that in the medical world is really, really picking up on it. And you want to be, in a medical group that uses it, especially if you're looking at your heart and things like that. It's remarkable. So I've never been so grateful for AI. And then it's fun for business too. I mean, let's face it, like if you're doing a lot of social media, sometimes you run out of ideas and boy, you go on ChatGPT-4 and they'll give you ideas. They'll tell you what to say. There's other sites that take some classes on AI. They're all over the place. And there's a lot of free ones too on LinkedIn and things like that. But a lot of other people give classes on AI. I encourage you to take it. So don't you be afraid of it. You control the AI. You direct it. You take what you want. So we are so lucky to have AI in medicine right now. So that's what I'm really excited about with AI.
And that, like you said, it is that bright spot and the precision piece. I learned, we haven't spoken, I think, since I learned this. So Dr. Jen Burke, Olympic team doctor, amazing anti-aging doctor. And she is on our board of medical advisors at the Pause. And so we were in the Slack chat and we're talking about the differences in physiology for women from different cultural backgrounds. And she told me women from Southeast Asia, they have smaller blood vessels. And so their risk for certain diseases, especially cardiovascular disease, can be higher. And it's the same with women of color from America, and they have different risks. And the same with women who are Indigenous, Native American. And the thing that excites me about AI with the precision is right now data sets don't exist for women. Even the cardiovascular data for women came from a data set that was 70% men. So we will get to the point as we get the comprehensive data that Kathy will get a recommendation. As she said, she is a cancer survivor. She is fit. She'll get precision recommendations from the AI that are based on her, right? And so I will get ones based on me. And one of our investors who is from Southeast Asia, she'll get recommendations from her, for her. That doesn't exist. So we're going to save lives. And that's what really, really excites me about the precision recommendations, because if we can get out in front of these different disease states, as you said, Kathy, and be preventive. Now it's up to the person to take action. So if you're not supposed to have sugar and you go eat the sugar, that's on you, right? That's not on the recommendation, but we will have the recipe for ultimate health. And that's what the AI is going to do, which is amazing.
The exciting time. It really is.
Well, Kathy, thank you so much for being here. You've recommended books. We have tests, ideas, and thank you for sharing what you do in your own day. And it's been tremendous. And make sure everyone that you are following Kathy in the show notes. We have released all of her social media links, and feel free to engage with her. And again, thank you for being such an amazing advocate for women, Kathy. You're absolutely outstanding. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Susan. Thank you for all you do. Appreciate you.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you. This is another episode of the Menopause Health Podcast. If you're loving the show, give us a 5-star review wherever you're listening to the show. Share it on your social. Make sure you tag us, and I will see you in the next episode.
This Menopause Health Podcast is brought to you by The Pause Technologies. To find out more, visit thepause.ai and follow us on your favorite social media channels. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, share the show, and connect with us. We will see you in the next episode.